Hi everybody, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a bit of a mix and match. We are going to be checking in on all of our bins at the moment, resetting a breeder bin. This is the main bin where we obviously, this was the original bin that I set up. It's still going, it has been harvested. There's around 2,500 worms in here. I actually did take some worms out to try and set some new bins up, but I ended up putting them back in just because I wasn't ready to set those bins up. It was my birthday on Sunday, so I got a little bit busy with that, obviously, and just celebrating with some friends and some family, which was quite nice. And yeah, so didn't really have much time to come in here and do what I wanted to do. So the worms would come back into this bin, and I'll try and get around to that this week. But yeah, they're all happy and healthy, which is good. There is sufficient food in here for them. They've had big feeds of chow over the last 10 days. So every couple of days I've come in and I've given them 2 to 3 tablespoons of worm chow, which is great. So I'm gonna ease off a little bit. The moisture in here is good. So it's good to just come in and have a little fluff and just make sure that the moisture level is good and the health of the worms is good. It always helps and stops you from having issues with the bin, as we found out with that worm farm starter kit that had too much food and the worms died or escaped. So this is cool. I'm going to move this out of the way, and talking about that worm farm starter kit, let's check on that. So this was the bin where it was overfed with the vegan shrimp and the beetroot. We found a lot of dead worms in here last week. The moisture level is a bit low. I mean, it's moist, but it's just a little bit clumpy. I just think because it's still recovering from that feed, and there still is food in here. I loaded a bunch of cardboard in here to sort of soak up some of that food. Some people said that I should have discarded everything and started again with this, but there were so many baby worms, like these little fellas in here, and cocoons, that I didn't want to just throw them away. I think I would have felt even worse. I did add a lot of cardboard, but yeah, no, this is teeming with baby worms, with juveniles. So I think we're good. Yeah, you can see different levels of different stages of maturity, and they're healthy. I don't think I'm going to feed it today either. And honestly, the moisture level isn't too bad. It's just clumpy. It looks a bit dry, but it's not. I can feel the moisture to the touch. And if you can see from the lid here, there is quite a lot of condensation on there, so it's good. So I'm going to close that back up and move that out of the way. This is our breeder bin that was reset the other day. Funny story, I had the bait basket just on top like this, with a piece of cardboard that was just left over in here. I just put it on top, and today when I came in earlier, they were all, or yesterday should I say, they were all hanging off of this. I took a video, I'll put it in so you guys can see. Actually, that's quite funny. But yeah, I'm not going to touch these. These are good to go. It is a little bit dry on top, but they're perfectly fine. There's enough moisture in that bin. Next up, this was our other breeder bin with 200 worms in there. I put this little bait basket in, forgive me. So this was our other breeder bin, the second breeder bin that I set up, with 200 worms. I put this bait tray in the other day. Oops. And sure enough, just tons of worms in here. just going to put this into this little one here. There we go. A few worms on top. I wonder how many's in here actually. This bin did get pretty dry and I refrained from putting any moisture into it. Oops. So yeah, that's pretty dry. I refrained from putting any moisture into it because I wanted to promote the worms going into that bait tray. Let's just see how many worms we've got in here. There's a nice decent amount of cocoons in here. Not as many as I thought I'd see, honestly. Maybe that's just down to the fact that it's a bit dry that I can't see. But I've had a good go of this bedding. They seem to have turned most of it into castings. Yeah, interesting. I thought I'd see more. I thought I would see more cocoons. Maybe I'm just being blind again. So this bait method is good. The only thing is you get about a dozen worms that are left over. And I think it's better suited to more shallow bins or beds. It depends on how you look at it. So I will definitely reset this now. I think I might just reset it with less bedding though. We'll see. I was definitely expecting to see more cocoons in here, that's for sure. So I'm a little bit upset about that. Right, let's go ahead and dump this into our other dump bag, and actually gives us a good chance to take a look at that. So this is the bag where we dump all of our breeder bins, all the cocoons, any baby worms. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Actually, it might give me a better chance to see what I've missed in here, if anything. I thought I did see a worm. Here we go. We'll reset that in a minute. This actually allows me to have a better chance of seeing the cocoons that are available in here. So they are here. There are a lot of cocoons in here. That's not a... And as you guys might remember from my last videos, you can see the cocoons a lot better when there's a lot more moisture in these. So as I said, this is relatively dry. So I'm just going to mix all these up together again. But you can see how quickly this bag is now filling up. And that's fine. As those cocoons hatch, they're going to come in here and they'll become adults with these worms that have been in here from before. I'll let them have sufficient time in here as this bin gets more and more full, and they make their final, I'll give them time to convert these into some nice castings, and then I'll transfer these guys into other breeder bins. But this is a good this is a good solution for if you don't have space and you're trying to grow your operations. What are these guys doing in here? Using one of these big, 20-gallon bags is a good way to be able to put all your breeders into, or the cocoons and the wisps into, because that gives you time. Once this is full, this will still take another, this is after 6 weeks of me doing this, so maybe another 6 to 8 weeks, another 2 months. This bag might be closer to being full, and then I'll give them another few weeks in here just to finish off these castings, and these guys will be perfectly fine. I think this is the beetroot that they're going through. Yeah, they're still breaking that down. You can start to see the moisture coming out of that. So yeah, this bag has also had quite a lot of food. So there's some food scraps in here. They got a frozen banana. They got some chopped up beetroot and radishes from the garden the other day. It's also had a healthy dosage of worm chow, which has been plowed through it. So I'll probably just give this some moisture today, and then just leave it be, and I'll give it some food during the week. I'm going to go ahead and reset this bin now. I will not load it with as much bedding, I think. I know it sounds a bit counterproductive, but I think I'm going to give them, instead of 2 gallons of bedding, I think I'm going to reduce it down to 1.5. So this bait basket, I think is half a gallon. So I'm going to put a gallon's worth in here and then dump this in and let them be happy. So as always, the ratio, if you're breeding African night crawlers, it's 1 gallon of your bedding, which in my case is peat moss, coffee grinds, eggshells and agricultural gypsum, to 100 African night crawler worms with 2/3 of a cup of worm chow and 2 to 3 cups of water, 4 cups of water if you live in a more humid climate, or have a more humid, or if you have a wormery with high humidity. So let's go ahead and throw in the chow. It's funny, I was talking to someone the other day and I was telling them about the worm chow, and usually the recipe that I make, I fill up this container and it's just using a few cup, a cup each of most of the ingredients except for the oats, where I use 2 cups. I'll put the card for the recipe there. But when I first made it, obviously I didn't have as many worms, and it lasted me for like 2.5 months. And this time round I made another batch about 2 weeks ago, and it's already almost finished, which is crazy. So obviously there is some moisture in the bedding, pre-bedding mix. The moisture level is quite high, so I do want this to be a little bit saturated, because we're going to dump the bait tray into here, and that's probably a little bit drier than what this is, so that will compensate. So I'm getting quite a lot of water coming out of this. Not sure if you can see this. Shouldn't take from here. There you go. So that's going to be sorted out now once I put this other bedding in. That's why I love this using this method. So effective. You do get a few cocoons slip through, which is fine, I suppose. It doesn't. You just get them at the next time. Yeah, I always end up finding cocoons on the bottom, but I'm not fussed anymore. I was worried about it, but no, I don't care. They'll come out in the next transfer. But you could see how many, that was 200 adult African night crawlers. And I definitely see some cocoons in this bedding, even though literally 3 days only they migrated up from the old bedding into this bait tray in just 3 days. So to get all that moisture even. Sorry, worms. A bit of a roller coaster for you. And that's it. If you haven't done so already, please go ahead and hit that like button and hit subscribe. Ring the notification bell. You know what to do. Show your boy some love, as always. And if you've got anything to say, put it in the comments down below. Would love to hear from you. Thank you guys again for watching. Big love as always. Have a great week.